So day one of the lockdown, and we are all isolated in our homes and places, and asked not to move out. And I think it's not too bad actually. We are having time to ourselves, and having to travel a lot less, obviously, not having to engage with the traffic jams and the pollution. And honestly, I find the nature kind of coming back, a lot of more sounds around and a lot of more birds chirping. I'm sure they all in a way are kind of thanking the the virus for getting all these humans into our into isolation. And I don't think anything else would have got us into this situation. So as long as this gets over and doesn't cause too much harm, I think it's a good time to kind of really think back, reflect what we were kind of doing and how we were kind of living and using the planet. But beyond that, I think it's a great time to use it to build your brand, and this is something which you can really do from your home. And I have been talking about, because I love it so much, about podcasts for some time, and I think it's a great tool. I don't know how many of you have, since my last conversation with you, had the chance to try out podcasts. One of the ways, so how you try out podcasts is on your iPhone. It's very easy. You'll find a podcast, a purple color podcast app. Download that, and then you'll be able to search for any of the podcasts that I've been talking about. So a podcast is right now we have around it's a 3-week lockdown, and we have around 21 days. So how about building your brand and bringing it out? Make people connect to you, make people understand you. I mean, I have I run a PR company, a public relations company, and I run 2 continuous podcasts apart from the ones that we do for our clients. One is called the Health Tips Podcast, and the Health Tips Podcast was actually I created it around in 2006, around almost 13 years ago, 14 years ago, and it's got such over the years such interesting guests. It had Sohali Khan, it had Usain Bolt, it had Beto Perez, who is he's the world's fastest runner. It's got a huge number of interesting people, and you can hear it, and we've had almost 100,000 probably downloads on that show. So podcast, what is a podcast? Basically, you upload an audio file, and it could be an interview, it could be a conversation, it could be even a monologue like what I'm doing with you right now, just talking to you. And you upload it on iTunes, though there are a lot of other platforms right now, like there's Hopper, and there's Anchor FM and all. And then people from all over the world can download this online radio show and hear about your company, hear about your brand, and it becomes a lot more personal. And a podcast, a lot of people ask me that what will be the listenership of the podcast, and yeah, there are 2 ways to look at it. One is the accidental listenership, but podcast is more than that. Podcast is not just about accidental listenership. Podcast is more about voluntary or intentional listenership, and there's a bit of a difference with that. So when you release podcasts, it generally is heard by people who have approved or who have subscribed to your show, mostly for free. So what happens is that all your existing clients, so you may have, if you're an engineering firm, or if you're an education firm, or if you're a school, your existing clients can keep hearing and understanding and knowing all the great work that you've done with this. And it's free. It's a great way to remain connected for people to remain connected with your brand, and you don't have the constraint of time. It's a lot cheaper than being on a radio. So there are a couple of podcasts which I really like to listen to, and I would like to invite you to start listening to them, just to get an idea about this great tool, which probably in India we are not as much utilizing as much as we should. So it's called, one is the Health Tips podcast, which I will, and then which is mine, and then we have the Future of Branded Content Marketing and PR, which again I do. And then that was a bit of self-promotion, I agree. But apart from that, we also have, they're very good ones. For instance, in news, if you want to hear BBC, almost all of BBC's shows are on podcast as well. The News Hour is on podcast, From Our Own Correspondent, World Business Report, documentaries, and so on. They have great podcasts in finance. Warren Buffett and a lot of the investors have their podcasts. You have great ones in all the major thinkers and schools of the world have their podcasts, like the Harvard Business Review, the Harvard University, LSE, Stanford, you name it. And they also literally any area that you can think of. They're right now probably 800,000 as an estimate podcasts going around in the world. So that's 800,000 podcasts. And whichever area you are working in, you can start hearing the best of the world thinkers on the right in your in your living room or wherever, in your headphones. And also you can create your own. So if you want to create your own, it's a great tool. And Atharva Marcom, and I'm very happy to help you and answer some of your questions and help you build a podcast for your around your topic. So whether you are in education, jewelry, real estate, you name it, whatever organization or whatever field your company is, there can be a really good podcast built around that topic. So I'd really invite you to reach out to me, and be happy to kind of advise you on the opportunity that there is. So stay safe. Use this 21 days to re-emerge as a new brand, a new person, a new company, even more engaged with your audience and with your target customers than before. So that's the opportunity that you have right now. Looking forward to staying in touch.